this week's episode of Good Playing with You, the weekly gaming podcast. I'm Dan Whitehill, and I'm joined by my fellow Good Playing Good buddies, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matt Maulding.
Hey now.
We've got an awesome show planned for you today. First, we're going to go in-depth on the Sony State of Play that was this week. Then we'll cover some gaming headlines, answer some listener emails, and then Matt's back with more trivia. But first, let's get started by checking in with what everyone's been playing this week. Lord?
Yeah, well, it was a busy week. I can't seem to give up my Series S playing. It's just too good. Like, the Game Pass is drawing me in. Still putting in time into Sea of Stars. I really like that one. I finally got the ship that we discussed a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so I'm a full-blown pirate now in that game. And really like that. I think that game is so good. Like, that could have been Game of the Year. Like, just throwing that out there.
They definitely put a lot into it.
Was it this year that it came out?
I think so, yeah. 2023, yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of think so. I really am enjoying it. Unless it, like, burns out, because now it's kind of, like, opening up into, like, an open world. I thought it was pretty great up until this point.
I mean, you did give Pal World a 9.5.
Yeah, I might be just like really.
I don't know.
I'm just giving out these scores like it's candy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and then
Sea of Stars is like a 12. Then
Sea of Stars, yeah. Actually, yeah, seriously, 12 out of 10 for me on Sea of Stars. And then, of course, another 12 out of 10 is Overwatch with Maulding.
We've been having a lot of fun.
Almost like having, like, we had a 5-stack the other day. Such a good time. Chatting up your friends, just kind of having a blast, trying to get some wins, playing DPS, which is a little out of my wheelhouse, but
you're great at
it. It's working out. And then finally, I've been playing some Resident Evil Code Veronica, throwing it back. And then I wanted to give you guys a little piece of trivia, and this is for both of you. This game was originally an exclusive for which system? This is something I didn't know.
PlayStation 2?
Good guess, Dan.
Genesis?
No, actually, the Dreamcast.
Oh,
Dreamcast.
wow.
I knew it was something random.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't that so rando? I couldn't believe that. I was like, this game is so good, and they need to remake it. That Resident Evil, if you haven't played it, is awesome.
I'm sure they'll remake it. On the pattern they're going to remake it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's it for me.
All right, Maulding, what have you been playing?
I've burnt out on Pal World. So that is, once it got to the point where you have to get like 8 different materials to get the best catcher ball, I have a lot of free time. I do not have enough time for that. Like, so I burnt out a bit. But once they fix the pathing, and I know we have a couple stories, maybe a story about it later on. The Xbox is doing some updates. I think it'll get better, and I'll come back to it. But
how many bosses did you kill? Because I've still only killed that one.
Wait, just the one in the tower? Yeah, I've only killed the one in the tower, but I've done a lot of the mini bosses around. And I'm just kind of like, meh, all right, time to move on. So I moved on to Deathloop, which is a game that came out exclusive for the PlayStation a couple years ago, and then it hit Game Pass like last year. And that game is fantastic. I highly recommend anyone. I love it. I think it's so good. If you like Dishonored,
okay,
you've heard some bad things.
Yeah, well, I've heard some mixed reviews. Like, for instance, like one of them, like they're like, AI is so bad in that game. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty bad, but it's still enjoyable. The concept of it is that you're going through a day. It's like Groundhog Day in a video game. So things you do in one area in the morning affect things that happen at night in the other later on. And then once you're done with these 4 time periods, you loop back to the beginning and you have to start all over again. But you get to keep there's a concept where you get to spend materials to keep items throughout and powers throughout the loops. It's just really, really well done. I'm almost
super smart.
done with it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
it's
Did
really
you play it, Dan?
I played about half of it, and then
Oh.
I kind of was like, okay, yeah, I'm not into the Dishonored thing, but
Yeah.
the way they did the loops, I thought was really, really
Yeah.
smart, and it sounds like it's repetitious, but it's not. They change it up really.
They do.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
It's great.
And Game Pass? I
yeah.
mean, count me
Yeah,
in.
it's on
Yeah.
Game Pass. Yeah, I think it's Bethesda. So
Yes.
now that Xbox owns them, it should be on Game Pass in perpetuity, hopefully.
Although we're still waiting for quite a few more of their games.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. But that's it. That's what I spent most of my time playing. What about you, Dan?
Nice. Well, of course, Pal World, and then more Pal World. I don't know how many hours I am at this time. I kind of am reaching the same point you are, though, Matt. It's like the pathing problems. I'm getting really sick of my pals getting stuck in trees, and it's like the bosses keep handing my butt to me over and over, and I know I need to level up my pals and stuff. So it's kind of reached like a point where I'm not really discovering anything new. Like I'm just unlocking higher versions of the shield and higher versions of the gun, and it is becoming a little more tedious. So it's fun. It's fine. I think I know the game is doing really, really well. The last time I looked at it, it was up to 12 million copies sold on Steam and over 7 million players on Game Pass. So they're killing it. They're killing it.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how long this game is going to last, though, because if you and I are burning out, a little early, is it going to be able to sustain it, or are they going to have meaningful updates, So good luck to them, I guess, on that one.
I have thousands of hours in Ark, and I still don't get tired of playing it. I mean, sometimes I do, but it doesn't have that Ark keeping. The Ark, it doesn't keep me engaged like Ark does.
Yeah, what would be the one thing if there was one thing that they patched tomorrow? What would it be?
More bases. I'd want to create more bases. 3 is way too small.
And to add to his thing, because that's Dees, but I would need this girl said this
nuts.
No, she said it in a meeting, and it was this high level meeting, and she was like, "That's totally Dees," and I was like, "You just said that to the exec vice president. I'm going to steal that because that's hilarious."
No,
Dees it is.
The one thing that would actually make that viable is if they had their chests that would transfer all of the content. I'm so sick of my one chest at one base having all my content and then another one having content. But I did want to shout out one more game that I have been playing. As you guys know, I called it quits on Monster Hunter World in my mobile game last week because I finally finished it, and I finally got to like the top of like my items, since they want to charge me all this money. And so I'm like, all right, well, as soon as they start asking for money, that's when I'm out. But I have found a new game that I like that's worth checking out. It's the New York Times. They have another one. It's not the Wordle. That was the big one like a year or two ago. But now it's called Connections. Like that's their new one. So it's just like a mental puzzle game where you're trying to find the connections between 4 different words. Definitely worth checking out for my fellow nerds. It's one of those things that just updates daily. So check it out if you get a chance.
Nice.
Connections is also an old school dating app for gay guys.
Well, yeah, you definitely connected those.
Check it
Very
out.
interesting. Okay.
There we go. I'm already halfway
Machine.
there. Yeah. All right, now let's move on to the headlines, because the big story of the week, of course, is the PlayStation State of Play, and there were a lot of games that were covered, so let's get straight to those. All right, unlike the Xbox showcase, the Sony State of Play had a ton of games. Xbox really treated us to an in-depth look at like 4, but this one had about 15. Some of them were great and some of them were not so great, so we might skip over them a little bit quickly, but we will touch on most of them. All right, so starting off with Helldivers 2, which releases February 8th. What did you guys think?
I'm kind of I'm neutral on this one. I am familiar with the first one. I'm a little shocked that they're going over the shoulder, since like every game is over the shoulder. And I feel like you can still expand on the top-down formula. So it could be one that's fun. Like maybe this is also, I feel like it screams PlayStation Plus. Is it gonna be a PS Plus game right off the bat, or is it going to be out? Like, do you have to buy this one for a bit?
I think you have to buy this one.
Okay, then yeah, I'm just kind of neutral. Like, I mean, February 8th, right around the corner, it could be cool, and it looks heavy on the co-op, so potentially it could be awesome. It just, I feel like it's kind of missing that a little bit of uniqueness with its top-down camera angle being kind of nixed. Maulding, what do you think?
Not even on my radar. I have nothing to say about it. It looked like a cut and paste game from something else that I probably have forgotten about. So not even worth discussing for me.
All right. So then what about Stellar Blade, the next one? It was a big review and a chunky gameplay kind of breakdown, giving us like the heroine and the combat and all of that. What did you guys think?
I have written down meh. Meh. Believe me, there are games here that I was super excited for, but the first few I didn't think looked very fun for me. Not for my taste, at least.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought this one definitely was eye candy in more ways than one for a gamer. It struck me very much like a Nier Automata clone, even going down to like the vendor base type things that they showcased. I am actually excited for this one. I think this is going to be a cool game. I like those, a little bit of like a hack and slash, lots of dashing, and I'm assuming that's going to be what this game's about. I think it has potential to be really cool. And geez, those graphics looked amazing.
It looked very Devil May Cry-ish, right? It had that sort of vibe to it, which is also not my favorite game series, so that's probably why I felt that way too.
Dan, what was your take?
Not a game for me. It did look beautiful. I look forward to hearing your review of it, Lord.
Yeah, I look forward to you buying it and telling us what it's like.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly.
I'll report back.
Okay, next up we have Sonic X Shadow Generations. The Blue Hedgehog is back, and this time Shadow is there as well. What did you guys think of this?
Again, not for me, I don't think. Either. I haven't played a Sonic game since the Genesis one. So, again, not excited about this one.
Yeah. Dan, why don't you share your take on this?
Well, my thing is, look, I love Sonic. I want Sonic to be great, but I feel like they keep trying to find out what is that Sonic formula that's going to work on these next-gen consoles. I mean, they've had amazing success, sometimes maybe too much success with the movies, and that really, unfortunately, hasn't translated to the games. I think Mario nailed it out of the gate and has really never stumbled in terms of platformers and changing the game, but Sonic's never had the budget and it's never really had the direction. So they're going back from the 3D open world that was Sonic Frontiers that I have been playing, that was a little bit unique but visually lackluster and a bit boring, and that I bounced off of it pretty quickly, to be honest with you. And then they're going to this one, which is more of a return to that the style. So it still has some 3D style and as well, but it's a change up again, and so they can't figure out exactly what they're doing. So I'm gonna wait until I hear on this one, but I want to love it.
Yeah, I'm hoping they do kind of the Mario Wonder formula on this one, where it is your traditional side scroller. However, they mix it up with a lot of new elements, maybe take it 3D at some points.
Yes.
I would love just to mix up, because I mean, I like, they went from Frontier, which is third person, awesome, like kind of platformy, and then they're going back to this. So I'm hoping they find their footing on what they want to do next. Like, let's go.
Agreed. Okay, moving on. Foam Stars. This is the PlayStation exclusive, and it actually is a PlayStation Plus released game. So if you are subscribed to just even the basic tier of PlayStation Plus, on February 6th, you will get this game for free. And it was kind of like their take. It looked like like Splatoon. That's what a lot of people have been comparing it to. Although with the preview buzz, people are saying it's a little bit more than just a Splatoon clone. What did you guys think?
You know, this is one of those games, if it is a Splatoon clone, I'm all about it because Splatoon is freaking awesome. And
Yeah, I know,
think,
right?
if it is something along those lines, then that's a huge win for Sony because I think Splatoon was a completely unique take on shooters that really goes under the radar every year. I mean, the third one came out and was hardly talked about, but the second one I put hundreds of hours into. I thought it was awesome. So if it's that type of vibe and they nail it, then I'll be picking it up on PlayStation Plus without question.
I've never played Splatoon, and I know about it. But when I saw this, I was like, "Oh, PlayStation is getting Splatoon! I'm so happy for them! Wow, Nintendo! I can't believe they're giving it to PlayStation." Because that's how similar it looked to me. So sure, it looks fun. It looks like maybe you can build stuff with a foam, which I like building things, and I like first-person shooters. Although it's not first-person shooter, it's a third-person, right? Yeah, I mean, I'd probably play it if someone gave it to me for free.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, it's cool. The surfboard aspect is kind of fun too. I like how you kind of charge in on the map on a surfboard. Did I see that right? Or I think I saw that.
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, it's also funny. I thought this game already released. But
no, they did a bunch of previews on it, but it hadn't released yet. It's being actually published by Sony.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be cool.
I agree. It's one of those things where I'm like, is it going to go the way of Destruction All-Stars, which I got free from Sony and then I played for maybe a day and never touched a hole again? Or does this have that underground hit? I'm not sure. I sure hope so. And the fact that it is a free game on PlayStation Plus means, yes, I will definitely play this game. Who knows, how long I'll stick with it, but I'm excited to try it out. I think the three of us should try it sometime.
We should.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we should do.
All right, moving on. We have two indie darlings. Dave the Diver, which was huge on Steam last summer and looks amazing. And then they added a Godzilla crossover, which is even more fun. So Dave the Diver and Godzilla are coming together to the PlayStation 5, as well as V Rising. And this was also an indie darling last summer on Steam. Two very different games, both but very, big on the PC world. Either one of you have anything to say about this? I think they both look good, but I don't have much else to say.
V, I put yes. I put a big yes with an exclamation point next to it. Because I think it looks like
Diablo.
It looks like Diablo, and I do love Diablo, and I would totally play that game. It looks super fun. But you say it's out right now for PC, so I guess I could technically play it now if I wanted to. I had not heard of it, but yeah, I'd totally play it.
Yeah, I think there's some crafting elements or something to it. But it was a big hit. I watched some streamers play it last summer.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm neutral on these. Good old fashioned indie. I just haven't heard of them, so maybe I'll pick them up once they hit PlayStation.
Yeah, I definitely think I will. I think they're both right up my alley, and I'm very curious to see what the reviews are on them both. I'm definitely interested. Yeah.
I would like to say the pixel art Godzilla was really cool coming out of the water. I thought that looked really fun. So they nailed that.
Yeah. And then I hear Godzilla's coming to Minecraft too, so he's kind of he's having a moment. Actually,
well, there's the new movie is coming out in a couple months, so that's probably a lot to do with it.
And Godzilla Plus One just came out.
And Godzilla Plus One,
apparently that one's we have a lot of Godzilla to dive into, so I'm pumped. All right, moving on. We have the Silent Hill 2. We got a really in-depth look at that from the Blooper team. And I thought it looked pretty fantastic, but I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. But then I also want to talk about the shadow drop that was Silent Hill, A Short Message. So first, starting off with Silent Hill 2, what did you guys think?
I'm not a Silent Hill stan, so it just looked like Silent Hill to me. I'm sorry. I don't. It's not. They're not a genre of game that I find enjoyable to play. It stresses me out too much looking for ammo. That just stresses me out to no end. And looking to like find a place to type my save into. I can't handle it. I'm stressed out just thinking about it.
Lord,
Well,
save us.
I was literally just playing the original, and I think the original is so good. And a lot of the things that I find really enjoyable from Silent Hill perspective, it's a very slow game. It's like kind of clunky, kind of tank control-ish. And I think they're just kind of like doing away with that, and they're going the way of RE4 remake. And for better or worse, I'm not sure exactly what that is going to look like. I saw some quick time events, which is a little a bit of a, it's not exactly standard, I guess I'm trying to say. Like, it's not original formula. So that's a little odd. I thought the quick time events looked a little weird. However, the graphics looked really cool, and the gunplay that they showed a lot of guns, which I thought was kind of fun, I guess. And I definitely want to keep my expectations to a certain point, but I think this one's going to be pretty sweet once it comes out and everyone gets their hands on it.
I agree. I think I'm a super fan, especially of Silent Hill 2. I think it is known for its clunky combat, but it's great visuals. And that's something I think Blooper Team can deliver on. They've never really done combat before. There wasn't much in the medium, but the visuals, they did nail it, I think, there. This one isn't looking as good as I had hoped. They do have like the creepy nurses and all of the elements in there. I sure hope they bring something new to the table, both in the gameplay and in the visuals, because it's looking, it looks like I remember it, which of course it's not. Memory does that to you. And like I had it on the original Xbox back in the day, so there's no way it could look as good as it does now. But they're not really, I'm not seeing the bells and whistles, and so I'm a little bit nervous, especially as like their streaming project Ascension, and then a short message. So we'll see on Silent Hill 2, but then they shadow dropped Silent Hill, a short message. What did you guys think about that?
I didn't even see it in the thing. I didn't even know that. So I when you talked about it earlier, that was the first time I'd ever heard of it. I didn't even know that it was something.
I thought, whoa, that's nice that they're giving a free to play game out and shadow dropping it. I thought that was a pleasant surprise. I like when I was seeing the trailer and it had all the little like notes of like ugly and liar and stuff. I was like, this one is probably going to be a little on the nose with some of its topics, but the monster that they kind of teased looked interesting, and I saw a lot of praise about the monster on Twitter. So that if you can get Twitter fired up with hype on the monster, then they're doing something right. But I haven't played it yet.
Well, I finished it. It's short, only a couple of hours. My first question is like, where did this come from? What's the goal here? Because was it the fact that Sony saw the praise that Xbox got with the last showcase where they shadow dropped what was the name of the game, the rhythm game that everyone loved?
Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, thank you. So everyone freaked out about that one, and it went on to be nominated for a lot of awards and stuff like that. So maybe Sony was like, okay, now we have to get a shadow drop, and so maybe they called up these people and they're like, we need something. I'm not sure what the goal was. It's literally a head scratcher with what they're trying to do here. And the reason that I say that is because this piece of entertainment was, it made me a bit nervous for the handling of the franchise. it had some dark elements into it. There's a part where a kid, dies because he's locked into a closet, and then his body gets stuffed into a refrigerator.
Stop it! I'm already sold.
But that's and that's quintessential Silent Hill stuff, is like really dark and weird and moody and stuff like that. So that was the only part of it that was really like that. There were some other parts. It came across, to be honest with you, like a suicide PSA. They routinely, put up the hotline information, and I respect that, and I know that's important. But in one sitting, I saw that PSA probably like 4 or 5 times, and I think just once would probably suffice, to maybe twice when you're shutting down or something like that. The story was a little too on the nose. It was a little obvious. It wasn't very mysterious at all, and I gotta say they completed pulled the ultimate sin, and that is there was a truly happy ending. I don't want to ruin it for people. Maybe I just did right there, but there was a happy ending in a Silent Hill game, and I'm like, what the hell?
Wait, so at the end, did the kid call the hotline?
I'm not. No, spoilers. Spoilers.
Is that what it is?
I'm not saying anything. I mean, the game plays like a Groundhog's Day, so you go through the same levels 3 times,
like Deathloop.
I will say that the artwork was good. I just didn't see, and it was almost like a walking simulator, and then there was one monster. I felt there's parts of it that was actually filmed. Those, for me, the actress wasn't very good. The direction was horrible. They were truly snoozeworthy. I'm not sure what the goal was with this, but it's making me more concerned for the future of Silent Hill.
Yeah, I think that's my a bit of a takeaway to just thinking about the Silent Hill 2 remake is like, what are they doing with, not only that, they shadow dropped this game, but they also had that weird interactive game that was almost like the Until Dawn style.
That was the Ascension one, right?
That was Ascension,
thing,
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
So
interactive story.
I think it's just, they're a little lost in the sauce, and I would have loved for them to focus all their attention on the Silent Hill 2 remake, because that's what it deserves. It deserves all the attention. And
the new one, they're creating a new one as well. So they've got 2 Silent Hills in production right now, and then I don't know. We'll see. So fingers crossed for Silent Hill.
Yeah. But people were also, it was funny, they're treating it like, they're like, it's going to be the next PT, so download it and save it to your console.
I thought so too. And that's kind of what I expected. I expected a PT-like experience, but it definitely wasn't. And that's
what I figured. So I'm not rushing to download it by any means.
Yeah, it was like 2 hours. It was fine. There was nothing to write home about.
Yeah. No.
All right, moving on. Judas. Now, this is the new project from the creator of BioShock, and it kind of shows. But it is a big budget, big spectacle. It is first person kind of action adventure with powers and guns. What kind of world would you say that is?
Steampunk.
Yes. Oh, that's a great way to in a steampunk world. So how did you guys react to this trailer?
I thought it looked actually kind of cool. I thought it looked, I love the BioShock vibe. Like I mentioned a few episodes ago, I was playing that Close to the Sun game, which was basically a BioShock clone. And so I think if this one isn't I don't know what, I just feel like as long as this one isn't too action oriented, that's what I'm thinking. Action oriented and just kind of I don't know, because I think there was a lot of subtlety to BioShock 1, and it wasn't just you're going in and just blowing everything up. That's what I'm kind of getting from this game. So as long as it's not too and there's some mystery there, then I'll be happy. But I think they'll probably show it more and maybe a little more gameplay, and then I'll kind of formulate a little more of an opinion on this one.
Okay.
I had no idea it was by the people that did BioShock, and I wrote, yes, BioShock.
Yeah.
Because it looked so, it looked like a it looked like Bioshock, which I think are fantastic games and super fun. So I would totally be into this. That was the first game out of all of these where I was like, excellent, this game's for me. Super pumped for it.
I agree. I think I love the Bioshock formula. I just replayed part 1, the remaster of it last year. I think Ken Levine, really nailed it with Bioshock 1. And then I don't know that he's ever been able to really find the marriage of visuals and gameplay. This looked to me too close to Bioshock. I want to be proven wrong. I want to see more and see how is it different, because I just played Bioshock 1 and it is fun. I think you have to be clever, and don't have a lot of power in the beginning, but at the end I was walking into rooms and blowing people away with all sorts of powers and guns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this one, it looks like the powers are in the hands again, so it is very, very similar. The only thing that's different here is the art style. So
yeah.
I'll play it, but we'll see.
Yeah, am I out of touch on saying Bioshock isn't a heavy action game?
I mean, it gets there.
It does get there.
You definitely get swarmed by a lot of splicers, and you can hack machines and have drones, and there are bells going off. It gets crazy chaotic towards the end.
Yeah.
I play all games stealthy. That's how I always try to do it. And there was a definite stealth element to them that I remember, where sneak in, you can backstab people, you can hack the machines, let the machines take care of the mobs for you, so you can sneak around. Like that's how I play most of those games.
I just in my head when I think of this, I just think of I just thought the part was interesting where the protagonist gets like a question mark spray painted on her. Did you see that little snippet from the showcase? I was just like, that's such an interesting. It was like first person going down, and there's like a spray paint on her chest, and I was like, that's kind of an interesting visual. So if they do kind of cool,
they're full
stuff
of
like
them.
Yeah.
All right, moving on was Dragon's Dogma 2. And this game, I didn't play the first one, so I really didn't know what to expect about it. But it's definitely have a strong fantasy vibe. It is a single player, third person adventure. It looks like you have 2 companions with you, and you're in a fantasy world. What did you guys think about it?
I mean, you can't write a better formula for a game that I'm into than single player fantasy dragons. You've got me hook, line, and sinker. Like, I was super excited. I mean, I didn't know that they were going to be previewing this, so it was the first. After Judas, I was like, oh, okay, maybe they've got some other stuff. And so I really paid attention. I was like, dragons! And I knew exactly, as soon as they started some of the dialogue, I was like, oh, this is Dragon's Dogma 2. Very pumped. I think it comes out next month, I think in March. I'm going to get it. I'm not going to get it for the PlayStation, but I will definitely buy it and play it, and I'm super pumped.
I honestly was really stoked to see the gameplay on this one. I thought some of the action sequences were really cool. In particular, the one was when the wizard did like some ice attack to like the big the giant, and then he ran up the ice glacier and then did like an aerial attack on the giant. I thought that was such a cool sequence, and I'm like, okay, if that is like standard gameplay, then we're on to something here. I thought it looked next gen to me, and I thought just the scale of the monsters was a really awesome look. Like it had like kind of like a Monster Hunter level of design. So this one's without a doubt like probably a day one for me.
Yeah, I saw Monster Hunter in there, and I saw some Witcher influence probably in there. Like it definitely, for sure. Day one.
I gotta agree. I think this one was the one that surprised me the most in the show. I went from like a 0 level interest, not knowing anything about the game, to being super pumped, and I will definitely be picking this up as well. For me, it was the biggest surprise. And I think that one of the really cool things, I don't know if they really talked much about this on the showcase, but I kind of did a little digging later. But one of the cool parts is your other companions can be like kind of stored in the cloud or so, and then
that's how Dragon
pawns.
Dots. That's how the game is.
Yeah.
They're pawns
Yeah.
that you kind of like hire.
Yeah. So when Matt picks up the game on March 22nd and finds different caves and goes different places and does things, I can wait a couple of days, then download his pawn, and his pawn will then know what Matt has already done and can give me clues and tips and hints and be like, hey, I think there's a cave over there. You should probably go check it out. And I thought that was really clever and really interesting, and I can totally draft off your success.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as any of those pawns tell me that they're going to go over to your game, I'll make sure to kill them so that they don't have any opportunity to do that. But yeah, I look forward to doing that too.
Okay, well, we definitely
It'll
all
be
sound
Pal
like...
World all over again for me. At least I'll just be like riding your guys' coattails.
For sure. Well, that's awesome because it sounds like we're all in on that one, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. So moving on was Rise of the Ronin, and this one also coincidentally comes out on March 22nd. What did you guys think about this?
I just think that release date is very interesting. What the heck? What are they thinking with a double release like that?
Well, I mean, they're not publishing Dragon's Dogma. So.
Yeah, but like, oh, well, yeah. But it is interesting how they both selected that March 22nd. Like, what the heck? I feel like they're both big enough games to have their own release date. However, I think this game was the most graphically challenged of the showcase. I thought the graphics were a little yikey. However, I think it was a really cool take on almost an Assassin's Creed style game that I think, and it kind of had, was it Assassin's Creed Syndicate that you could do the grapple and then go to the glider and cruise around. I love that style of traversal. So this one actually wasn't like on the radar at all. And then I saw that little piece where he was cruising around the city. I thought it looked really cool, actually, and my hype level rose significantly after the showcase for this one.
All right, so you're in on Rise of the Ronin then?
I am, yeah, I think so. Right. I think it looked cool, and the sword play where you could kind of change your stance. That reminds me of Neo, where you had like it, one of those Souls-like games where you could like change your stance and kind of like change up your fighting style depending on who you're fighting. I think that was a cool mechanic that was kind of begging to be redone. So I think that this is going to do it. But yeah, I mean, am I on,
well,
what do you think?
What do you think?
I have no opinion. I'll need to see reviews of it to make a decision. It didn't sway me one way or the other. Any game, though, that has that samurai art style, I have PTSD from that Soulsborne game that everyone loves so much.
Was it
Neo? Not Neo, the other one from a few years ago that you really needed to... Everyone loves it. I'm blanking on the name. Sekiro, yes, which I just am not a good enough game player to play that game. I don't have the timing down. So I have PTSD for anything that looks similar to that. So as soon as I saw it, I started getting the shakes a bit, and I had to leave the room.
That is one of the things I was curious about, is how hard is this game? And I guess we'll find out. Again, I think for me, it's also a wait for review kind of situation. I absolutely head over heels adored Ghost of Tsushima. It was incredible. It had so much color. It had so much like artwork and originality. And this one, I didn't see the same elements. And I think, the color was quite drab. It did have some interesting character designs, but it didn't seem to flow I didn't quite get what the game was and what the gameplay loop was like. So I'm going to wait and see on this one. I'm not sure about Rise of the Ronin for me, though.
Well, speaking of the challenge, though, I'm just kind of thinking back on what they showed, and it took a long time for the player to kill that single NPC. So I think this game potentially could be like difficult.
I agree. Yeah. And that's what I'm going to wait to hear on. All right, so moving on real quickly, I did want to touch on, we saw a glimpse of Until Dawn, which is a re-release of Supermassive's hit game. Did you guys have any thoughts on this one?
I didn't play the first one. This looked good. Other than it looked good and interesting, but for a game that's already been released.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a kind of a re-release for the movie, right, Dan?
That's exactly what I was going to say. This is a re-release cash-in so if you haven't played it, go for it. I think it was a fantastic game, truly fun. Visually, I think it looks absolutely the same. I do not see one change. So it is 100% a cash-in. That being said, a quick shout out to Blair Butler. She was a writer for Attack of the Show at G4. And she's writing the script for this. She also wrote like the invitation and stuff. She's truly talented. So I'm a huge fan. I have complete faith in her. So I'm sure the movie is going to be fantastic. But the game, unless you have never played it before, it looked exactly the same and just like a cash-in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on, we've got Death Stranding 2 on the beach. What did you guys think?
I loved Death Stranding 1. That is probably my comfort game of all time.
Wow.
Talk about replaying a game. I've played that game like 4 times. And it's a long game. That walking sim really resonates with me. And however, when I saw Death Stranding 2, I gotta say, some of that visual cringe that I saw, I couldn't help it. I was like, there's some visual cringe going on here. Like the puppet and the guitar, I thought was, I don't know what's going on there. I didn't like either one of those things.
So
However,
funny. That's so funny. I just have to say, like, you forced me to buy the game, and I did against my best judgment, and you even made me buy the director's edition, and I absolutely ended up hating the game, like with a passion. It was so tedious; it made me want to punch somebody. But the new character designs, the animation of the puppet, the Joker-looking guy, fantastic. Like visually, it was a feast. It made me wish I liked the game. That's how good the trailer was. I'm coming at a different angle.
I agree. I thought
you were just saying you didn't like the design.
Visually, that it was, I think, the best looking game of the showcase, without a doubt.
Yes.
And trust me, I wanted to be like, I wanted to love the puppet. I wanted to love the guitar fight. But in my opinion, that's silly to me a little bit. And
it wasn't silly. The whole game wasn't silly before. It's silly.
I felt like the first game had like, everything was crazy, but kind of grounded. This is going a little off the rails, and I have a theory about that. I think it's because Kojima is throwing everything he wants at the wall because he wants to get to that strange little hidden project that he teased at the very end of the show. Yeah. And that's going to be his priority. So I think Death Stranding is going to be his culmination of everything weird in one game. And that could be for better or for worse. I think it'll grow on me for sure. But the puppet was very much like the head in God of War.
Yeah, easily. I made the same connection.
I also am like concerned that this puppet is just going to chat your ear off while you're trying to cruise around, because half of the time I thought one of the really nice.
He could Scrappy do it. He could be modern Scrappy.
And that was the thing. I liked the peaceful, like, cruising through the world of Death Stranding, but now you're going to have a little puppet that's going to chat your ear off, which makes me nervous a little bit.
I just want a fraction of the drugs that Kojima is on. I just want a small sample of whatever he is smoking, because he is a nut job. Those things are crazy. I hated also Death Stranding. I thought I think I probably made it longer than you did, Dan. I probably played it for maybe 20 or 30 hours. Loved the co-opness of creating bridges for other people and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I thought that was super fun. But my God, it was just so boring. Oh. I really do wish when I was a smoker that I could have had a glove necklace that lit my cigarette for me. Yes. That was, it just made absolutely no sense. I mean, I'm
Yes.
happy for people that love that sort of nutty sensibility, but I needed my games a little bit more grounded and dragons.
I don't know. I feel like bad that I reacted this way to because people seem to really love the puppet and really love the guitar fight. And both those things I was like averted from. I was like, I
Yeah.
do not like this.
That's a bummer
was-
because I know you and I know how much you loved the first one. So I'm hoping that you come around and you're able to enjoy the second one as much as you enjoyed the first one, because you made me buy the first one.
I know.
I really hope you
I don't
enjoy
like
the second
pressure people to buy games like that. And this one, I
the
truly
director's
believe
edition. You made me buy the director's
I
cut.
couldn't help it. It was so good. The first one, I feel like it just the sound effects, the funky gameplay. I think
So
This-
Pal World's a 9.5. What do you give that game?
I give this game a 20.
Okay.
That's a 20.
All right.
20. I am
All
like,
right.
I mean, I'm a Death Stranding stan. And
Wow.
I just think it nailed it on so many different levels for me, which is so funny. And then this one, I'm hoping gets there. And I'm sure once I get my hands on it, my tune will change, but that was my reaction. And that's coming from a major fanboy.
All right. Okay, moving on. We have one last game, Final Fantasy Rebirth. The Sony showcase kind of closed at the end, teasing this next edition of 7. What did you guys think?
Well, it's not. They're going to do a whole thing on 2.6, right? They're going to do a whole new show.
Yes, so there will be a whole But are you guys hyped for this game? Is this something you're going to tune into? Are you Final Fantasy fans? What are your thoughts?
I mean, we talked about last week about how I was trying to play the remake again. I mean, I'll probably pick it up because I hate to be out of the cultural zeitgeist. And if everyone's talking about a game and I don't know about it, I feel left out. So I'll probably buy it and then regret it. But I really love Final Fantasy. I grew up with those games, so I want it to be good. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, this one is the open world one, so it has potential to be really cool. And I would love to explore the open world aspect that they're cooking up. I think they are going to nail it. So fingers crossed.
Agreed. All right, moving on. We're running a little late on time, but I did want to mention, everyone is aware of the Suicide Squad releasing actually tonight at 9:00. We all know, I'm not sure if everyone's heard, but they did have a little bit of a stumble coming out of the gate with their server.
a little bit.
Yeah, and actually they had to pull the game off servers for the first 6 hours so they could fix a bug that was causing an autocomplete on users' games. And then they also didn't send out any review codes to any outlets. So I think right now we're still waiting for reviews to come in, but
we're waiting for our review code too, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
And Dan, you're our review code for this evening's
that's
stream.
What I was just about to say. And so right after we record this podcast, I will be doing a live stream. So by the time you're listening to this, hopefully it's Friday morning, and I hope you have a great weekend. But if you are interested in seeing our reaction to Suicide Squad, we'll talk more about it on next week's podcast, but we will have a live stream on our YouTube channel. So feel free to go there and check out all of the fun. All right, moving forward, we're about to get into listener emails. All right, Darius from Los Angeles writes in to goodplayingwithyou@gmail.com, just like you can, and asks the following. What do you guys think are the best video game, TV, and movie adaptations in recent years?
Maulding.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with The Last of Us. I think that's the obvious one. It's just, I really loved it. And I wasn't even a huge fan of the game, but I've got to give a special shout out to a place in my heart, the original Mortal Kombat. That game or that movie, I bought on VHS. I watched it many times. I probably practiced the moves in my house and got all sweaty and stinky as a little kid. I love one thing that I remember when watching it is that it was one of the first movies where I saw people block. I mean, I'm sure I hadn't seen a lot of foreign films and martial arts movies at that point, but it was the first movie I remember seeing people actually block hits and like doing fighting where they weren't just taking punches, they were blocking and returning the hits and parrying and that kind of stuff. And it was, I absolutely adored it. So Mortal Kombat, the original movie, and The Last of Us are my favorites.
I saw that movie in the drive-in movies back in the day, so I freaking love that one.
Yeah.
And the part where Scorpion like has his little scorpion grappler going through the forest and like chasing that person. What a classic.
And it looks so bad now if you're to watch it, but back then you were like, how did they do that?
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah.
All right, Lord.
Well, I just got to give it to Sonic 1 because that movie I thought was so good. Second one fell a little short, but man, I feel like it was such a return to form for Jim Carrey. He was super funny in that one. James Marsden, I thought was actually great. And the dude who voices Sonic, I'm forgetting his name, he's in
Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really good too. I thought he was a great Sonic. I really loved that movie. I actually own that one on Blu-ray and I've watched it a lot of times. I thought it was great.
Nice.
Good fun.
Right on. First, before I reveal what I think is the best video game, I do have to give a quick shout out to Twisted Metal on Peacock. I don't know if anyone has Peacock or if you watched it. And I'm not shouting it out because I used to work there. It is actually legitimately a good show. My expectations, I think, for Twisted Metal were super, super low. It's not the greatest, but it takes what a concept would had absolutely nothing and kind of makes something fun with it. It's not the greatest. I just, small shout out. Small.
Yeah. I think it got a sequel, right? It's doing a second season.
Second season. But really, I think the Resident Evil movies, yes, they weren't what we wanted, but they've kind of turned into something you could put on cable or just put on in the background. I think that Mila Jovovich did an amazing job in all of them, and they're really crazy. They're the kind of movies you can just kind of put on and you don't even really need to watch. They're pretty silly fun, so I liked those. But then the best I would say is Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft in the first Tomb Raider. The second one, she punches a shark in the nose, and I'm out. That is dumbest.
But that's how you fight off a shark.
Yeah, well,
everyone knows that.
But it looks so stupid. I mean, she does this whole and then they stare at it. I don't know. Okay, I love you, Angelina Jolie, but no punching sharks. So
friend of the pod, no more. Angelina Jolie.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, she's listening definitely right now.
So Tomb Raider 1 for me. But then Darius follows up with a second question. Are there any games that you think have untapped potential as a TV or movie franchise?
So I love this question. I think they are actually doing a Dead by Daylight movie, but I think that they should do a Dead by Daylight anthology TV show where each show is famous actors playing those parts with one killer that's hunting them for that episode of the show. I would love to see like a 13-episode season of a single killer every episode doing that. I think that would be really cool.
They did a movie called The Furies, and that was if you're ever going to have something that's similar and you're dying to see something that's like DVD and a movie, that's, close-ish, and so it's worth checking out. But no, I agree. I think you nailed the answer, and I was pissed because when I saw the thing, I was like, well, damn, you picked the best one. I'm going to have to pick something else.
Well, Cabin in the Woods kind of has a DVD feel.
Oh, yeah.
Just with the different monsters.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, I'm down for what is the video game movie that was also a book, and then Steven Spielberg directed it.
The Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. So if they do something like that where they license a bunch of characters,
oh yeah.
I mean, that'd be awesome. You got Freddy in there, Jason in there, aliens. Like, I think that would be cool. And then you could with a TV adaptation, you can make it go forever.
Yeah,
That'd be
I agree.
awesome.
And I know when I picked mine, I wanted a TV adaptation as well because I thought there was a lot of meat on the bone. And that's really, I think, Dragon Age Inquisition for me. I mean, you start out with this ragtag team that has absolutely nothing, that has to, take these people and migrate through the snow. And they end up in the game, you build up, your relationships, and everyone has a great storyline, and you build up your castle, and you become, this really great, powerful kingdom. But just how it gets there, the variety of the characters. Bull, I loved. He was amazing. And so many others. And then some of the twists and turns the story took, where some of your party members, get thrown in jail and suddenly, they're gone. And spoiler alert, I guess. But anyway, phenomenal. I think Dragon Age is overlooked, and that's partially due just because it's been absent from the pop culture zeitgeist for quite some time, but it will return, and I am super pumped for it. Lord, what did you think?
Well, my first take was Ratchet and Clank.
That's a good one.
But they already made a movie in 2016.
And the games are like movies.
Wait, say that again? Yeah,
the games are like movies because they have so many cutscenes.
And so I figured, that'd be easy, and I think that would be kind of like a fun take. So then I learned they already did it. So then I was like, you know what? Sunset Riders would be my. I think it would be a good movie. Could potentially be a TV series, but
what was Sunset Riders?
Yeah, I've never heard that.
You never heard of Sunset Riders? It was like an arcade game. It was, you could choose between 4 cowboys. It was side scroller. You would.
Sounds like a straight game.
It could be a straight game. Could be a straight game, but I feel like it was.
Wait, situation here? Is this like a Young Guns thing, or?
Yeah. It was like, no, not Light Guns. It was like the arcade game you could go. It had like a 4-person station, so you could get 4 people in there, and it was on SNES, and that's where I mainly played it. I have to look that one up. I think it would be a good Western game that they could maximize potential for a movie or a TV show.
All right,
and Westerns are in right now.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Of course, we need to get to Matt Maulding's trivia.
Yeah, let's do it.
Go.
Have a dog barking.
I know we're having thunder in Los Angeles.
We have some thunder going on. Sorry about that. Hey, Bubba. Hey. It's okay. Okay.
Tell him to get his own podcast.
Yeah, get your own podcast, buddy. All right. So I think Matt Lord went first last time, but let's do Dan this time.
Yeah, perfect.
So Matt Lord, please go into your soundproof booth, please.
And... did you explain to Lord how we're doing this a little bit differently, or I guess we can?
Yes. Everyone knows. Yeah. Okay. So, Dan, I'm going to set the timer. Give me 1 second. I should have had this prepared.
No problem. I'm ready.
Of course, I can't find it. There it is. All right. Reset. Okay. Here we go. I'm ready. Go. What nationality is Lara Croft?
She's British.
Who is the famous actor who portrays your main character in Death Stranding?
Norman Reedus.
How many colors of Pikmin are in the first game?
3.
What's the name of the fairy that guides you in The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time?
Navi.
Commander Shepard is the protagonist in what game trilogy?
Mass Effect.
The Palicos in Monster Hunter World are what type of animal?
Monster Hunter World. Beasties.
Kevin Conroy is lauded as one of the best voice actors for his portrayal of what hero in games and animation?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
Kevin Conroy is lauded as one of the best voice actors for his portrayal of what hero in games and animation?
I don't know.
What's Isaac Clarke's job title in Dead Space?
Space guy.
What notorious melee weapon do you wield as Gordon Freeman in the Half-Life games?
The Hammer of Justice.
I mispronounced this Air Force character's name from Street Fighter for nearly a decade.
Guile.
Yes. Oh, that's it. Time. Okay. All right. We got. All right. We're gonna go to. Okay, Matt Lord, you can take off your head or put your headphones back in. So Dan answered his questions in 1 minute and 39 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, bring it.
Quick.
You gotta be quick, bro.
Quick.
And are you ready for your turn?
I'm ready.
All right,
I'm
here
ready.
we go.
Born
Starting right now. What nationality is Lara Croft?
American? British.
Who is the famous actor who portrays your main character in Death Stranding?
Norman Reedus.
How many colors of Pikmin are there in the first game?
3.
What's the name of the fairy that guides you in The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time?
Pass.
Commander Shepard is the protagonist in what game trilogy?
Halo. No.
The Palicos in Monster Hunter World are what type of animal?
In Pal World?
No, the Palicos in Monster Hunter World are what type of animal?
Pass.
Kevin Conroy is lauded as one of the best voice actors for his portrayal of what hero in games and animation?
Pass.
What's Isaac Clarke's job title in Dead Space?
Engineer.
What notorious melee weapon do you wield as Gordon Freeman in the Half-Life games?
Crowbar.
I mispronounced this Air Force character's name from Street Fighter for nearly a decade.
Zangief.
And that is time. Do you want to go back and do you want to go back and
Mass
answer any
Effect.
ones? Okay, all right, there we go. So you
Mass
did it.
Effect.
So you
You didn't
completed
give me the
in
chance to go back and answer anything.
Well, you didn't pass on any, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
We're still working out the bugs.
Okay.
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 correct answers for Dan, and 3, 4, 5 correct answers for Matt.
Dang.
So Dan takes it. Lara Croft is British. Norman Reedus is the main character in Death Stranding. 3 is the correct number of colors in the first game of Pikmin.
Nice. Good.
Navi is the name of the fairy that
I
guides
should've
you
known
in
that.
Legend of Zelda. Commander Shepard is in Mass Effect.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Halo.
Well, you thought Halo. It's fine.
Yeah.
Palicos in Monster Hunter World are cats. Kevin Conroy is the famous voice of Batman in the Batman games and
That's
in
right.
animation.
They've been talking about him because I think he's in Suicide Squad, which I'm about to play.
He also passed away, sadly. He's doing he has one animation movie. Anyway, Isaac Clarke's job title is engineer. You got that correct, Matt Lord.
It's not Space Guy?
It's not Space Guy. Crowbar is the correct answer for the melee weapon in the Half-Life games. And Guile is the Air Force character in Street Fighter, who I referred to as Ghoulie for probably 7 years, 8 years. Ghoulie.
No one corrected you?
No, everyone else was just as stupid as I was. So no one else knew. I'm like, I'm picking Ghoulie.
Dang.
Not
Zangief. Did I give it? Was Zangief the hairy Russian wrestler?
Yeah. You got a correct character for sure.
Almost.
So
That's
congratulations,
awesome.
Dan.
Woo-hoo.
You win again. You would have tied up, Matt Lord, had you got Mass Effect.
Yeah, dang.
That was the,
I can't believe. Yeah, no, I'm glad you didn't give it to me because that's a fair game. I did not know it.
Well, Dan didn't know Crowbar, and Dan didn't know what was the other one.
I didn't remember. I know we're under time, so it's like whatever. But anyway, thank you, Maulding. That was amazing. Trivia is fun as always. And Lord, I love trouncing you as always.
Yeah, I'm blessed. I'll win one of these days. I need
one of these days.
I know. All right. On that note, we need to wrap things up. Please make sure that you are subscribed to our socials, and those are Maulding.
It's Good Play With You on Twitter and Good Playing With You on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, that's all
And
the time.
email us at goodplayingwithyou@gmail.com.
Yes, true. So that's all the time we have today. Don't forget the Suicide Squad will be on YouTube by the time you're listening to this, so feel free to swing by and check it out. And on behalf of the Good Playing crew, Matt Lord, Matt Maulding, and myself, Dan Whitehill, have a great weekend. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you guys.
Thank you.